Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Arizona Dreams. Today we're going to be talking about fastest growing jobs in Arizona. And you're going to be surprised at some of these guys that are on the list. So I'm talking about what kind of careers are really in demand and Arizona is really craving and needing. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of those that we need a lot of, but you're probably not going to find the pay that you want. And I'm going to go over the ones that I found the most common, and I'm going to rattle them off in no particular order. People ask me all the time, what's a good career to be looking for when I come out here? And frankly, as a software developer, I know the IT industry, I know a little bit about what's going on in the government around here, and I know a little bit about what's going on in the public ed space and that kind of stuff. Maybe my experiences from my consulting gigs. But, I don't have my finger on the pulse of the labor market and things like that. I can tell you what I think and what I see. I see that there's demand for a lot of the construction type related positions, and we'll get into that. I see a demand for teachers. We see it all the time, but I'll tell you, they're one of the ones that's not getting the pay that they deserve. That's not just here, that's pretty much everywhere, but Arizona has a really poor pay rate for their teachers, and that just boggles your mind. So let's just jump right into it. Operation analyst. Now, it's not really a developer, but it's a position that's out there, and there's a lot of opportunities for them. I get notifications constantly. It makes me giggle because I'm not an operations analyst, but they're there. So that's one. The next several are kind of construction related. So electricians are in big demand still. There's a lot of building going on out here. We've shown you some videos when we were entertaining buying a new build home. And I can tell you that just in the southeast area, there's at least 25 new build areas happening right now. And this is 2019, and we're at the end of September. So construction, yeah, it goes with the housing market. But right now, it's in demand. Electricians obviously don't have to rely on new builds. There's always going to be electrical issues until somebody figures out how to do away with electricity. Roofers. It's really hard to find roofers right now. I don't know why. It is a very particular skill set, I'm sure. I don't have a lot of experience with roofing. That's another one that's a big one, and it's a good one. If you're not getting the message, you don't necessarily need a college degree. You might need some trade skills, and you could very well do well. And I'm going to talk about that when we circle back. Again, staying in the construction and housing type of the market. HVAC. They need technicians for HVAC like they're going out of style, and this one makes a lot of sense, and I don't see this ever changing. We're in the desert. You need HVAC. It's really hard to survive without HVAC these days. It was done obviously before HVAC was around, but I'm sure it wasn't nearly as comfortable as it is when you can turn the air to 72 degrees. If you've got the money for that, good for you. When it's 120 outside. That's working your HVAC pretty hard. I think we covered the majority of the housing market type stuff, except for one last one. Masons, concrete masons, brick masons, plumbers, we'll throw in there with that, pipe fitters. All of those are in high demand in the valley. And again, some of those will continue without the fluctuation of the new housing development, but some of those, we're the 5th or 6th largest city. I don't know what the current status is. There's a lot of people here. That means a lot of housing, a lot of plumbing, and all the other things that go inside could go wrong, So think housing, think construction, and you probably got a career here. And again, you could probably be making some really good money. It just depends on what your trade skill is. But this job title showed up in several different lists, and I'm going to try to find you a definition, but it literally was job title helper. If you're a helper, you could have a career out here. They apparently need a lot of helpers. I promised that I would get a definition of what a helper is. Guess what? It's construction related. That's makes sense, and they literally do what it sounds like. They're helping out. They're an assistant. So construction makes sense again. They're a general laborer. You don't need necessarily a trade skill to be a helper, and maybe that helper really is more of an internship. I don't know. I know that the average salary from what my quick Google searches showed me was it's between $25,000 and $28,000. So is it one that will work for you? I don't know. Jumping away from trade skills and starting to jump into some of the other things that are out there. Another one that I don't think a lot of people think about, and when I think about it, it makes perfect sense. The Valley's population is about 25 to I think close to 30 now % Hispanic or Latino. I'm not sure the proper term. But there's a lot of Spanish-speaking people here, almost 30%. It might be more, it might be a little less. Makes sense that some of them need to have interpreters because they may not speak English, and we need to be able to do business with our residents. So guess what? Interpreters and translators. Now it's not just for that. I'm sure that there's people out there translating Mandarin or Ukrainian or whatever, and I'm sure that there's plenty of business here that needs that. But to me, it was like, yeah, duh. We've got a pretty good mix of population here, and I'm sure we had a guy that would come and do our rental work, was a friend of the landlord, and he didn't speak English. He spoke Mandarin. I had to use my Google app on my phone to translate. So that makes sense to me that there's probably plenty of opportunity there for translators. I will tell you one last thing that I promised I would talk about was the ability to make money out here. Because a lot of people want to know, what's the good job to get money at? Well, that's a mixed bag, you know. I can tell you that software developers do pretty well out here. And anything technical related in that IT set, so networking and cloud and big data, you can do pretty well, and you can do really well depending on where you get in and what your skill set is. You know, if you're a big data science analyst, you're going to make good money. But if you're, you know, a base HTML, CSS developer, you're not going to make as good of money as you would somebody that's got more advanced skills. I can tell you that I know some of the trade skills are making killer money. And some of them are doing really well, and some of them are just doing okay. I can't tell you any that I know of that are doing their job and hustling to get their job done that are doing poorly right now. And, you know, that's changed. There was a while there where trade skills were really kind of looked down upon. You know, Mike Rowe is a huge proponent for getting our kids back into trade skills, you know, auto mechanics and things like that. And auto mechanics is another one that was on the list. It just wasn't one that I chose to put on here, but I will mention that you got to be smart to do auto mechanics, especially today. Not that you didn't before, but especially today because they're computers now. There's, you know, I listened to a show out here and they talk about the F-150 has 1 million lines of code or some silly nonsense like that, but it makes sense. So that's another one. So, but anyways, back to Mike Rowe. He's hugely pushing for trade skills and internships and things like that over going to 4-year college. I have a 4-year degree. I wouldn't trade that for anything. And it certainly has served me, but I'm not working in my degrees field. So I think if nothing else, a degree shows that you can be trained. But it comes at a cost. You got to pay some serious money these days, depending on what you want to do and where you want to go. The other thing is, you know, when you get a liberal arts degree in philosophy, how good of a career are you going to get as a philosopher in these modern times? I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you can get a great degree or a great job. But I will tell you that trade skills, you know, being a construction worker, being an electrician, being a pipe fitter, plumber, doing masonry work, that will pay off. Now, will you get rich doing it? I don't know. But you will be able to afford your family, I'm sure. And you'll be able to live at a comfort level that can suffice. And again, we've all got different varying degrees on what a good comfort level is. So you're going to have to go out and do the research and figure out what salary works for you and what you want to do. But I hope you enjoyed the information. Again, this is a big area, and there's a lot of careers that I left off of the list for no particular reason, and it isn't a snub. It's just there's a lot going on out here. So just do your research, guys. You know the drill. Subscribe, share, like, comments down below. Check out Teespring and our store, which will be in the video links below, to get your new Arizona Dreams merchandise. Otherwise, take care.
Perfect.